I'm going to go back to another C.S. Lewis quote today. Honestly, I'm shocked I haven't done more throughout this 283rd day of this series. I think I've done a handful of videos at least on C.S. Lewis's perspective and relating those beautiful quotes to what the Bible tells us. And wow, like C.S. Lewis, what a man before his time. What a just intelligent vessel of Christ. So I've done a handful of videos on him. I probably could have done all 283 videos on motivational quotes from C.S. Lewis and related that to the Bible. So anyways, I might do more here in the coming weeks, but I've read Mere Christianity multiple times. There's some other books that I've gotten tidbits on. I need to read a couple others that C.S. Lewis has done, but there's this profound quote that I came across, and I just can't stop thinking about it. C.S. Lewis said this. He said, "God whispers in our pleasures. He speaks in our conscience, but he shouts in our pain." So God whispers in our pleasures. He speaks to us in our conscience, but he shouts in our pain. What's that mean? Let's start with the first part. God whispers in our pleasures. Meaning, like when life is good, when we're experiencing true joy and beauty and laughter and love, those things that are all free, but things that we all need, like those are the moments that it's like there's these faint reminders of God's goodness, but they're seemingly subtle. Like they can be enjoyed by some people without even directly pointing to God. If they're blind and not tuned into the frequency that I always talk about, that is of Christ, you can kind of discount those things. Like if you think about just someone sitting under a sunset and they're having a perfect evening, or someone that accomplished a goal, like that whimsy, that joy, whatever the situation is, God is absolutely present in those moments, but it's not like he's forced into those moments. It's like he lets this joy kind of gently nudge us towards gratitude. So again, the takeaway there is like pleasure is a whisper. It reminds us of God's goodness, but it's easy to miss that it's because of God those moments exist. It's easy to miss that if we're not tuned in, if we aren't truly listening. So that's pleasure in or whispers in our pleasure. God speaks to us in our conscience. What's that mean? He speaks to us in our conscience. It means that there's this inner moral compass that we all have. It doesn't matter where you live, what four corners of the globe that you're in. You have this moral compass that calls you to do what is right, even if it's inconvenient. And C.S. Lewis knew that. He believed that conscience is one of those clearest voices of God in our daily lives. For example, like you know that you have this tug in your heart that tells you that you shouldn't cut corners, or you shouldn't lie, or that if someone's in trouble that you should step in to help. Like that moral law is God's steady voice that creates this moral awareness inside of us. And the takeaway here is like it's in our conscience that God's voice gets louder than a whisper. It's just this like clear reminder that we need to be accountable to something that is greater than humans, that's above ourselves. So God truly does speak to us in our conscience. But lastly, and this is the main takeaway, is God will shout at us in our pain. Because pain has this way of cutting through all distraction. Like when life is breaking you down, and I talk about this introspective, these difficult things all the time in these videos, and I don't ever mean to sound doom and gloom, but it's because like life is hard. And we have to remember that when life gets hard, instead of letting it break us, because again, life, we're going to hurt, we're going to have grief, we're going to face loss. It's inevitable. But that's when instead of just shutting down or relying on earthly vices, that's when we need to just stop running, and we need to pay attention to God shouting at us. Because again, pleasure can be ignored, conscience can be silenced, but that pain, it demands a response one way or the other. Whether you're just going to cave in and give into earthly vices and veg out, or you're going to finally stop running. You're going to ask those big questions like, why am I here? What really matters? Like, is God speaking to me? And I think that's why like a lot of people do turn to God after tragedy or after illness or after heartbreak. It's not because of weakness. It's because God is shouting in those moments. He goes before us, and his provision enables us to continue, even when we don't think we can another day. I think that pain just has this way of breaking down the walls, like breaking down our own walls that we've created and just making space for God to be heard, for us to have eyes to see and ears to hear him in our life. So the takeaway here about God shouting in our pain is like God's not, he doesn't allow this pain to happen. It's not like out of cruelty. It's just an opportunity for his like megaphone to make himself, to make us understand that he is there. He is near. We can draw close to him. We do not have to do it on our own. It's like in our pain, like God has our attention. He should always have our attention, but it's often that in our pain, he actually has humans' attention. And I'm just a firm believer that we all need to be shaken awake sometimes in this life. We all have moments in our lives where we just need to be shaken awake to these deeper realities that we otherwise would just ignore. So use your pain as an opportunity to remember that you don't have to do it on your own, that you can and should rely on God. So again, God whispers in our pleasures. He speaks to us in our conscience, but he shouts to us in our pain. And I'll leave you with this verse today from Micah chapter 7, verses 7 and 8. And I've read this before. I love these two verses. It says, "But as for me, I will look to the Lord. I will wait for the God of my salvation. My God will hear me. Do not gloat over me, my enemy. Though I have fallen, I will rise. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light." And I encourage you to read a little bit more of what Micah's going through in those moments, because he's going to prevail even though Israel and everything around him was crumbling. It's a lot of courage to write those words, and I encourage you to look more into that. So that's what I have today. God whispers in our pleasures, but he shouts to us in our pain. That's day 283.